that jazz and all that jazz and all that jazz. Your hair and wear your black wool shoe and all that jazz. I hear that Father Dick is gonna blow the blues and all that jazz. Hold on, hon, we're gonna bunny hug. I got some aspirin down at United Drug and you just shake up heart and want a brand new start to do that jazz. Find a flask, we're playing fast and loose and all that jazz. Right up here is where I store the juice and all that jazz. Come on, babe, we're gonna brush the sky. I bet you're lucky Lindy never flew so high, 'cause in the stratosphere how could he lend an ear to all that jazz? Oh, you're gonna see her, she shimmy shake and all that jazz. Oh, she's gonna shimmy till her garters break and all that jazz. Show her where to park her girdle. Oh, her mama's blood will curdle if she hears her baby is queer for all that jazz. All that jazz. Come on, babe, why don't we paint the town and all that jazz? All that jazz. I'm gonna rouge my knees and roll my stockings down and all that jazz. All that jazz. Stop the car, I know a whoopee spot where the gin is cold but the piano's hot. It's just a noisy hall with a nightly brawl and all that. No, I'm no one's wife, but oh, I love my life and all that jazz.
Robert Louis Fosse was born in Chicago, Illinois on June 23, 1927. Born into a family of 6 siblings during the rise of the Great Depression, young Fosse found himself limited to opportunities until he started going to dance classes with his older sister. Uninterested at first, Fosse began to adapt a style all on his own. If the instructor wanted one thing, he did another. The instructor would often mistake this disobedience as incompetency, but nonetheless, Fosse progressed forward in his dancing career. In 1947, he, along with his partner, Charles Grass, danced in a duet act called The Riff Brothers, performing dances ranging from tap to modern jazz. When the act finally disbanded, Fosse moved to New York City with the ambition of becoming the next Fred Astaire. He was soon noticed for his characteristic abilities and signed by MGM to perform and choreograph in movies. Not too long after, Broadway directors and producers took notice of his stunning style on screen, and so he was promoted to choreograph shows in the 1950s, including his first ever, The Pajama Game. Later, he was asked to choreograph for one of the timeless shows of Broadway, Damn Yankees, both the stage and on screen. This show included Fosse's future prodigy, Gwen Verdon, playing the role of Lola. The two danced together in a duet called Who's Got the Pain, in the 1958 movie version, in which we bring to you today. Ladies and gentlemen, we present Who's Got the Pain from Damn Yankees.
Some of us are sick when they eat, or stepping on everyone's feet. But if everyone's feeling okay, why don't they just say "Olay" when the music carries them away? Who's got the pain when they do the mumbo? Who's got the pain when they go? Who's got the pain when they do the mumbo? I don't know who. Do you? When they do the mambo, who needs a bill when they go?
She could pick up on his choreography quicker than the others, and the element of her character that gave her the title of Best Dancer on Broadway. The way she sang and acted on stage was phenomenal, leading her to be Fosse's prodigy. Gwen went on to perform as the star of many works in the 1960s, primarily the musical Sweet Charity. On April 1st, 1960, the two were married. Unfortunately, in the early 1970s, Gwen Verdon and Bob Fosse separated. Bob led an intense life of vice, and it became too much for Gwen to take. Regardless, he started to go deeper into his work.
Subsequent to his work with the musical Pippin, Fosse was given the opportunity to direct and choreograph the movie that would change his career forever, Cabaret. In 1972, Bob Fosse won an Oscar for Best Director of a Movie for his work with Cabaret, beating out the director of The Godfather. This musical movie, set in the rise of Nazi Germany, followed a cabaret singer who cannot acclimate to her changing surroundings. This cabaret singer, Sally Bowles, was played by none other than Liza Minnelli. Bob was obsessed with her momental emotions that she could portray on screen and through her voice. He recollected in interviews how they had a mutual understanding of what was considered perfection, the perfection she gave. Here's one of Liza Minnelli's most famous songs, Maybe This Time, from Cabaret.
Maybe this time I'll be lucky. Maybe this time he'll stay. Maybe this time, for the first time, love won't hurry away. He will hold me fast. I'll be home at last. Not a loser anymore, like the last time and the time before. Everybody loves a winner, so nobody loved me. Lady peaceful, lady happy, that's what I long to be. All the odds are in my favor. Something's bound to begin. It's gonna happen sometime. Maybe this time I'll win. Everybody loves a winner, so nobody loved me. Lady peaceful, lady happy, that's what I long to be. All the odds are in my favor. Something's bound to begin. It's gonna happen sometime. Maybe this time, maybe this time I
Widely known. People recognize the famous Fosse style. The jazz hands, the bent knees, the hunched shoulders, this was Fosse. Soon, he put the style into a new project on Broadway, Pippin. This musical is based on the life of a young adult trying to find his purpose in life, told through the acts and illusions of a mysterious acting troupe. Acting as choreographer, director, and partially as writer, he mixed the mystical magic nature with the show with his own sultry jazzy style. Also, being somewhat of a pessimist, he strongly admired the message of the show. Life isn't always made of grandeur, and the sooner we realize that, the better. The admiration is clearly visible with his direction. One of the hallmarks of this show is his opening number, Magic to Do. It truly exemplifies the core of Fosse choreography. And so now, we bring the same magic back to life on this very stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Magic to Do from Pippin.
come and waste an hour or two. Doodly-doo, journey to spotting, sighting, mystic and exotic. Journey to a random review. We got magic to do, just for you. We got miracle place to play. We got lots to perform, hearts to warm, kings and things to take by storm as we go along our way. Lots to bring disaster, humor, handled by a master. Romance, love presented pastorally. Delete the illusion, fantasy to study. Battles, barbarous and bloody. Join us, sit where everybody can see. Just for you, we got miracle place to play. We got lots for hearts to warm, kings and things to take by storm as we go along our way. Show, ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing tonight? I thought you would be that excited. Let's give a round of applause for these actresses and actors, huh?
show business, a director of hit movies and stage productions, a choreographer that compared to that of Jerome Robbins, a winner of many Academy Awards ranging from Tonys to Oscars. Simply put, he was a master of his craft. Throughout the mid-late 1970s, Fosse released famous films such as Lenny and his semi-autobiographical work, All That Jazz. In 1978, he directed and choreographed a musical revue by the name of Dancin'. During that process, he met his very talented girlfriend, Anne Reinking, an extraordinary dancer. Though she couldn't compare to that of Gwen Verdon's style, she was all the same a Fosse prodigy. Here is Sing, Sing, Sing from Dancin'.
Benny Goodman, sing, sing, sing.
In 1975, Fosse took Broadway for a whirl with arguably one of his greatest works of all time, Chicago. This musical, set in Chicago in the 1920s, follows the story of two murderesses, Roxie Hart and Velma Kelly, in a time where murder and crime were considered a form of entertainment through mainstream newspapers. The show was the pinnacle of his choreography, using all of the Fosse techniques such as the use of bowler hats. His wife, Gwen Verdon, returned to play the leading role of Roxie Hart. Chita Rivera took the role of Velma Kelly. While the musical lost the majority of the Tony Awards to the uprising musical A Chorus Line, it was still considered an extreme success. In fact, Chicago was revived in 1996 and has stayed on Broadway to this very day, becoming the longest-running American musical on Broadway.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is Mr. Cellophane from Chicago.
If someone stood in the crowd and said, waved his arm and shook his leg, waved his ears, you'd notice them. If someone in the movie show yelled, fire! In the second row! This whole place is a powder keg! You'd notice them. And even without clucking like a hen, everyone gets noticed now and then. Unless that certain personage should be invisible, inconsequential, me. Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane, should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. I tell ya, Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane, should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. Suppose you was a little cat, residing in a person's flat, who fed you fish and scratched your ears. You'd notice them. Suppose you was a woman you wed, and sleeping in a double bed, beside one man for 7 years. You'd notice him. A human being's made of more than air. With all that bulk, you're bound to see him there. Unless that human being next to you is unattractive, undistinguished, you know who. Tell me, Mr. Cellophane, should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. I tell ya, Cellophane should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane should have been my name, because you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. Never even know I'm there. I hope I haven't taken up too much of your time.
In 1986, Fosse directed, wrote, and choreographed a Broadway production of Big Deal. This was a complete first for him, creating his very own musical. Containing old jazz songs from the 1920s and on, it was based on the film Big Deal on Madonna Street by Mario Monticelli. Although nominated for 5 Tony Awards and winning for Best Choreography, the production closed after only 6 performances. However, what was so special about this work was that this was Fosse's last new piece that he ever worked on. Here is Beat Me Daddy, A to the Bar from Big Deal. 1987, Fosse died of a heart attack. Verdon held him in her arms as he suffered this fatal heart attack on the sidewalk outside the Willard Hotel as a revival of Sweet Charity was beginning across the street at the National Theater. He was taken to George Washington University Hotel and there was pronounced dead. He was cremated and shortly thereafter, Verdon and Nicole Fosse took his ashes to Quake, Long Island, where Fosse had been living with his girlfriend of 4 years, and scattered his ashes into the Atlantic Ocean as he had requested. While this legend's life has ended, the legacy he has left will live on forever. In his works, in his dancing, in American culture as we know it. Ladies and gentlemen, for our final number, here is the Hot Honey Rag from Chicago.
Okay, you bait the jazz, let's pick up the pace. Let's shake the blues away, let's make the party over and the skirts shorter and shorter. Let's make the music hot, and let's all drive to hell in a fast car and keep it hot.
Thank you.